Welcome to the Clarity Advisor Show, where you'll learn how to grow your team today. Join Ken Trupke and his guests as they discuss what works and doesn't work to grow your team in today's world. And now, your host, Ken Trupke.
Hello, and welcome to the Clarity Advisor Show. The economy is always uncertain to some degree, but right now it feels even more uncertain. There's talk of a looming recession. We've seen inflation and it continues. So what can you do as a business to fight that uncertainty? Because we want to stay in business, right? We're in business to serve our customers, to make sure that they get those products and services that we deliver to them that they need and rely on. And if we're out of business, well, they're not getting those products. So nobody wins if we go out of business. So let's make sure that we stay in business. And the way to do that is by being profitable. So if you're not profitable, now is the time to really get focused and get profitable. And if you are profitable, which presumably you want to get even more profitable. Because the more rainy day fund you have, the more emergency fund you have, the more rainy days and emergencies you can live through. When prices suddenly go up unexpectedly, or there's a change in the labor market, or sales suddenly drop, whatever it is, that's the emergency. You want to have as much cash on reserve as you can to deal with those things and get through those storms. It's not going to last forever, but it could last longer than you think. And so more profits set aside is better. So how do we improve profitability? Well, there's a number of things I want to share with you today. This is not meant to be a comprehensive checklist as much as just some ideas to think about ways you could improve your profitability. So the first one, broad area, is the one most people think of when they think of improving profitability, and that is cutting costs. And yes, that is a great place to start. As an advisor, I advise clients, let's start looking for places to cut costs. And one great place to start is with those software tools that we've come to rely on, whether it's productivity tools like Microsoft 365 or the Google Suite, or it could be communication tools like Slack or Zoom. It could be project management software. It could be cloud software or server software. It could be your enterprise software, the ERP system that you run for your business, or your customer management system, your CMS, like a Salesforce or a HubSpot. But the first question you want to ask is, do we still need that? Especially as you start digging deeper beyond the big obvious ones into the other tools that you've come to pick up that might only be $5 or $10 per person per month, but it all adds up. So the first question is, do you need it? And if you don't need it, get rid of it. If you do need it, well, do you need as many seats as you have? A lot of the business models for that kind of software are based on per seat. So is every seat that you're paying for, is that a person who needs to use that software? And then it comes down to price. Can you renegotiate with some of those software providers to get a better deal? Or maybe you can reduce your needs to get onto the free plan. Most of those type software have a free plan and then the paid plans. Well, maybe you can reduce down and get back on the free plan, which is probably where you started. So also, is there an alternative out there? Is there something that does mostly what the thing you're paying for does, but maybe for less, or again, even for free? So look at the software tools you have. My experience is you're going to be surprised at all the things that have started to add up, $5 and $10 and $20 a month, that you didn't really notice, but it all makes a difference. So the next area of cost savings is contractors. If you're using contractors to do things, it's the same list of questions. Do I still need them? Are they still doing the things that are important enough to be paying specific additional amounts each month or each week or each hour or however you have it paid, that you still need that? Is there an alternative to that? Is there software, frankly, that you could use instead of that contractor now? There's a lot of great tools out there that can do some writing or some design that you might have had to contract for. I'm not saying it's perfect, but when we're looking for cost savings, it might be a cost savings. And again, can you renegotiate? Can you go back to that person and say, I'm just going to need less hours, or I just frankly need to lower the rate. I can't afford to continue to pay you at the rate I've been paying you. And that doesn't mean that they're less valuable. It just means that the market's changing and you need to change with it. So look at those couple things for those recurring costs. Now let's move on to fixed costs. You maybe have some financing in place. Maybe you've got some debt on your business that you're paying for each month. Well, maybe go to the bank and see if they can refinance you. Now, a lot of times interest rates have gone up since you got your debt. And so refinancing might not reduce your payments. But the idea here, if we're trying to build profitability, is to create cash. And we do that by lowering monthly expenses. So even if it ultimately adds to the debt long term, if it lowers the payment in the short term, it might be a good move. So you want to talk to your accounting team and your bank about that and see if it's going to make sense for you. But it could be something that you can do with the bank and get refinanced. Another thing you want to look at is renegotiating your rent. If you don't own your building, can you renegotiate the rent? Again, same thing. It's not that it's less valuable, but it's just a different market. Can you get the space for less? Or maybe you need to downsize. Or maybe if everybody's working from home, you can just eliminate your space and have everybody work from home and just rent conference rooms and hotel ballrooms when you need to get together. There's a lot of still co-working space out there that could work. It's, again, ideas, places to look for opportunities. Another place to look is receivables. If you've got sales that are out there that people haven't paid you on, collecting those receivables improves your cash position and it puts money in the bank. Now, it doesn't change necessarily profitability by the accounting definition, but it brings cash in the door, which is helpful. So that's not technically a fixed cost, but it's another idea for how to get cash in the doors, collecting those receivables. And if you can collect those and have people spending less time ongoing collecting receivables and calling people and sending emails, well, that's money that you can save via productivity by redirecting some of those efforts, or maybe even saving those hours if you're outsourcing some of that. All right, the last cost reduction is on variable costs. And just like I talked about renegotiating with your landlord, you can renegotiate with suppliers. You can go to them and say, hey, I just can't afford to pay this. Is there either maybe a lesser quality product that would be at a lower price point, or maybe it's just the same stuff for less money? I mean, everybody wants to keep each other's business, and people might be more willing than you think to lower their prices. You don't know if you don't ask. Now, you don't want to offend people with ridiculous requests of, can I get it for 10% of what I was paying? But maybe you can get 10% off. And maybe you need to trade that for a commitment to buy for a year, but you're probably planning on buying whatever you're buying for a year anyway. So negotiate with suppliers. And another one is going digital. Can you take a physical product? Maybe you mail something to people when they make a purchase, or you've got a warranty card that you send out. Well, can that be digitized? And the answer is probably yes. And so now there might be some costs up front in development time or software engineering time to get that in place, but it's kind of do it once, receive the benefits over and over. When you digitize things, the costs are far less than when it's a physical something going out in the mail or getting shipped. And the last idea on variable cost is a cash discount. And you might be seeing this more and more. I see it at gas stations now. I see it at coffee shops now, that if you pay with cash, they give you a discount because there's fees associated with using a credit card that you don't pay as the buyer, but the seller pays. I went to get ice cream the other night and they had a cash discount at the ice cream shop. So look at offering a cash discount. It's a way to reduce your receivables and maybe increase sales. So again, ideas that'll move the needle on profitability potentially. All right. So that's our reduce cost look. We'll come back on the other side of the break and talk about how to increase productivity and one other broad category of ways to improve profitability. Stay with us on the Clarity Advisor Show.
Is your business where you want it to be or on track to get there? Clarity Advisors helps business leaders improve communication and get your team aligned and engaged for greater success. We specialize in helping you streamline your sales and operating systems to improve efficiency and grow your profits. Call or text Ken at 616-822-2998 to have a complimentary 12-minute call to see what some clarity could do for you.
Okay, welcome back to the Clarity Advisor Show. Today we're talking about the need to get profitable. And if you are profitable, to increase profitability as soon as possible, given the uncertainties in the economy. We talked about some ways that you can reduce costs, some ideas around cost savings. Now we're going to talk about some ways to increase productivity as a way to improve profitability. So if you have a number of administrative tasks, or maybe a number of people doing different administrative tasks, one way to improve productivity is to step back and review those tasks. Maybe you can combine duties into one. Maybe you can take two people's jobs and combine them into one job. I'm not saying get rid of that person, hold that thought, but just reducing the number of tasks. The first thing you want to look at is, can we eliminate tasks? When you write down all the things that people at an administrative or clerical type level are doing, you're going to find there's a number of things that you just don't need to do anymore. They maybe had a purpose one time and we just kept doing them because we didn't stop. It's kind of like the tax code. We get it in there and we never take it out. So you want to review that and say, are there things we can just plain stop doing? Are there things that are manual processes that we could automate? Now, I understand automation has a cost to it, but it's that one-time cost with over and over and over benefit. So it might be worth putting some development or software engineering time into automating a process that now reduces some manual work. So look at those couple things. Eliminating projects is another one. We've got people working on lots of things. Yes, there's always those routine day in and day out type clerical things, but most clerical people also have some projects they're working on. Maybe they're reorganizing some files, or they're going through some previous projects and organizing them and making sure that the notes are up to date. Those can be valuable things, but is now the time to really stay focused on those? Do we need those, or are they really just a nice to have? What I've found is that when you reduce the number of projects people work on, and I'm not saying eliminate projects, but reduce maybe the 3 or 4 things they have down to one, that they make so much more progress on that one thing. And then you're not necessarily working on a bunch of things that only have moderate value, but pick the one thing that has a lot of value and do it. And if the fact is none of these projects really have a lot of value, or they're just nice to have, or they're time fillers, we might not be able to afford that anymore. We might need to eliminate those projects and reduce those hours. Now, back to the idea of contractors. If those people are hourly contractors, well, you can just cut those hours and save that money. But if it's people on your team, I want to encourage you to find other valuable things for them to do. Taking away work and eliminating positions because you improve productivity doesn't tend to have people want to find improved productivity. If that productivity is going to turn around and eliminate their job, you can imagine people aren't going to be super incentivized to do that. So you want to make sure people understand, listen, we're going to get more profitable so we can continue to serve customers better, and take that time and apply it to more important projects, not to eliminating positions. Now, if they're contractors, I think that's a different story. And if you can combine roles and make things so that people can be more excited about their role instead of doing a lot of manual, unnecessary tasks, that might increase productivity too, because they're just more excited about doing work. So that's the clerical side. But even on your higher level, if you will, engineering type or operational type projects, the things that really drive your business and serve your customers, there's probably a number of initiatives going on. And you want that, you want to have that innovation, and you want to have that continual improvement culture. But again, can we afford right now to dilute our energies by tackling 5 things at once? Can one person have 3 priorities? Can this team have 4 priorities? Or really, should everybody get shrunk down to the one thing that matters right now? Get that thing done and then move on to the next thing. You know, in football, you get a first down and you kind of continue to live to keep the ball by getting 10 yards, getting that first down, getting your next 10 yards. So moving that analogy to business, I'd rather have one project move 10 yards than 10 projects move 1 yard. Because if I can move the one project 10 yards, well, that gets us a first down. And now we can move either that project another 10 or take a different project and move it 10. But when you focus the team, you find that they get so much more done because they're not jumping back and forth from thing to thing. And then you don't have that coordination of the resources of multiple projects. Keep everybody focused on the very few things that matter the most. So remember, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. So what are those vital few things that are really going to keep your business moving forward, improve the experience for your customer, and improve your productivity and ultimately your profitability? So that's increased productivity. I think there's a lot more opportunity than people think sometimes in getting the team focused as a way to improve profitability. Just getting focused and improving productivity will move profitability. So, so that's profitability. The third area is one people I think often think of last, but it can be a game changer and is maybe even the place to start. And that is increase sales. When you increase sales, if you can keep your costs fixed, it will drive increased profitability. Those sales dollars will drop down to the bottom line as they pass through the fixed costs. Now, granted, there's probably some variable costs, but it's all incremental dollars to your profits. And that's what you want. So, what specifically can you do to increase sales? Well, can we go back to the a specific list of targeted customers? Do we have that target customer list? Is it the right target customer list? And let's make sure if we don't have one, let's create one, but either create or revisit a target list. Make sure we're calling on the people we need to call on to generate business. Don't wait for the phone to ring. Go make the phone ring on the other end by making outbound calls. I know emails, we've talked about this on other shows. Emails are important as well. I'm not saying don't email, but reach out. Reach out, whether that's phone or email. I think it's a combination, but definitely don't neglect the phones to directly connect with prospects, especially if it's people that you've talked to before, which is my next idea, which is go back to stalled deals. Deals stall over time. It just happens. If you've got enough in your pipeline, not everything's moving through. Things stall for whatever reason. Well, now's the time. Go back to those deals. Call those people up. You know them. You've talked to them. Check in. Where are they at? Maybe something's changed on their end. Maybe some people have changed roles, or maybe the business is in a different place. Maybe the budget's come through now, whatever. Check in and find out what's happening and see if you can reignite that deal and get it unstuck and moving again. And with all this stuff in sales, you want to measure activity. Make sure you know of the targeted customers. How many did we call this week? Of the stalled deals, how many did we call this week? How many calls did we make overall? How many new prospects did we call? How many connections did we have? How many good meetings did we hold? How many sales conversations? Whatever the metrics are, make sure you're measuring it so that you know that you're moving the ball down the field. And the last idea within sales is raise prices. It's an inflationary time. This is a great time to raise prices because there's a lot of air cover for it. Nobody's going to be like, wait, what? You're raising prices? No one's raising prices. Only you are. No, everybody's raising prices. Only you're not raising prices right now. So get in the game and raise prices. When's the last time you raised prices? It's probably been years, maybe longer, since you've raised prices. And it's not that you want to gouge your customer in any way, but it's costing you more to be in business. And the value of what you're doing, commensurate with the value of other things in the marketplace, has also probably gone up. Now, you can't get out of bounds of what the market will bear, but my guess is you're probably under the market right now if you haven't raised prices in the last 12 months. Now, you can't necessarily raise prices every week or every month, but if you haven't raised prices in 3 years, you need to raise prices. Even if you just raised prices last year, you should consider a price increase again. Some businesses actually have it that they intentionally raise prices every year to train their customers to expect it. It doesn't have to be a huge increase, but it's something so that the customers come to expect a price increase. And it's not this battle and this reselling your product or your service every time when you raise prices. It's just expected behavior and people go with it. Think about what you buy and what your expectations are around prices. When you go to the grocery store over the last 6 months, haven't you expected the prices to be increasing each time you go? Yeah, because you knew there was inflation and the prices were going to go up. It doesn't surprise you and you don't really have a problem with it. Now, you wish it was different, but you acknowledge it for what it is and move on. It doesn't change your behavior is the point. You continue to buy. And you're glad that the grocery store even has those groceries for you because we remember a time a few years ago where there was a shortage on things. So sometimes we're happy to just be able to get the product. Some of your customers might be happy to be able to continue to get the product because they'd rather have you in business at a higher price than not be able to get what you sell them. Because if you've got a great fit with your customers, they're glad to get what you're selling them. Often they're okay paying a little bit more. So consider raising prices. Okay. So Now that we've gone through the kind of the big obvious areas of reducing cost, improving productivity, and increasing sales, I want to flip the script for a second and come back with some maybe unconventional or counterintuitive, as the cool kids say, ideas that are actually going to spend money rather than save money. But stay with me. So the first one is productivity software. Now, I know we talked about cutting some of those productivity tools, but if there's some out there that could genuinely bring value, if something can automate something that you do manually, there might be payback there. Those productivity tools are out there for a reason. The problem isn't that you don't need them. The problem is that you have some that you don't use, or you have more seats than you need. But there can be great tools that deliver a ton of value to your business. And maybe there's even some you're not using that you should. So revisit those things. Are you doing something manually or on a spreadsheet that there's software for, that once you get past that initial price and that purchase, that it starts to pay back in reduced expense in labor? So look at productivity software. Automation, the same thing. That is there a way to set up a workflow in software rather than do things manually, rather than have documents? If you have a lot of purchase agreements and other legal documents that need to go out, do you want to print those off, fold those up, send them in the mail, or scan them and check the scans, sign them, scan them again? Or do you want to invest in some kind of electronic signature software? There's a number of different packages out there that you can get that do electronic signature. And it's becoming more and more accepted that that's a legal signature, a legal valid signature. And that could automate your process and reduce labor costs. And the last one for kind of my unconventional ideas is to increase training. This is the time to invest in your team. The team is what makes you unique. The team is what drives you forward. The team is what makes your business and helps you to serve those customers. So make sure you're investing in the team. Make sure that they realize if we improve productivity, good things happen, not people lose their job and other bad things happen. So what can you do in terms of things that maybe don't even cost that much money? Can you start a book club and get people reading books to fire up some ideas and get people thinking differently? Is there some online training you could send people to? Is there a conference you could physically send someone to, whether for a few days or an afternoon or a one-day intensive or whatever it is? But grow your team, grow their ideas, help them to expand their world so that they can bring those ideas back to your company and improve productivity, which ultimately is going to drive profitability. And if the team knows that you're investing in them and that you care about them and that they're on the team to stay, as long as, obviously everybody's bringing value and getting value and all that, but it's not about if you increase productivity, we're going to cut jobs. It's if we increase productivity, that allows us to serve even more customers. That makes us even more profitable. That makes our positions even more secure in the market right now. That makes the business even stronger. So think about ways that you can invest in your team. Little ways like book clubs, big ways like sending to conferences, but how can you get them thinking to be more productive, thinking about ways to cut costs, thinking about ways to increase sales? Now's the time to get focused on profitability. You want to continue to serve your customers. They want you to continue to serve them. Nobody likes disruption. Nobody wants to make big changes because somebody went out of business. And you certainly don't want to be the company going out of business. So look for ways to cut costs. Look for ways to improve productivity. Look for ways to grow your sales. Look for ways to invest in your team. Take action now. Now is the time. If you're not profitable, get profitable. If you are profitable, get even more profitable. Build up those retained earnings, that emergency fund that you're going to need in the coming uncertainty. Your customers depend on you. They want to continue to receive the products and services that you deliver. And you obviously want to continue to deliver those products and services. You don't want to go out of business. Your team doesn't want you to go out of business. So take these ideas, these ways to cut costs, these ways to improve productivity, to increase sales, and to invest in your team and get after your profitability right now. All right, we'll see you next time on the Clarity Advisors Show.
Thank you for listening to the Clarity Advisors Show. Clarity Advisors is a speaking, training, and consulting firm specializing in helping you simplify your sales and operating systems to improve efficiency and grow your profits. Connect with Clarity Advisors today to learn more about how they can help you improve communication and get your team aligned and engaged for greater success.